Hi, and welcome to Gen Friends. I'm Cheri Hudson-Passy, and I'm your host. And with me tonight is Terry O'Connell, the Executive Director of Adept Genealogist, and Mary Kircher-Roddy from MKR Genealogy. And we got a big show tonight. We've got to talk about long lost family, and we've got to talk about 2 episodes of Relative Race, because last night was the finale. And it was quite the finale. So to make sure we have enough time to really get in all of our thoughts and our feelings about Relative Race, we're going to start with Long Lost Family. And let's go ahead and start talking about Katie and her story about how she wanted to find her biological mom. Does anybody want to jump off with that? She just had always felt like she needed to find that mom.
Well, she had a good story because she found out young. What did she say? She was 5 when she found out she was adopted. So it was always something she knew.
Right.
And it wasn't that she had that hole to fill emotionally. It was just the need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the fact that, in her baby book are all her pictures of when they brought her home from the hospital, but her adoptive parents had also put the paperwork for her adoption. So in that, she had found the non-identifying information about her birth mom, and that had intrigued her for years. So she wanted to find her.
I really liked that her adoptive parents were so supportive that they were on the show too, and just said, we're fully supporting her in this. So I really appreciated how open and how supportive they were, and that there it didn't feel like there was a any kind of guilt or anything about her desire to look.
No hostility or
right. Exactly. They understood that they were her parents, and she just needed some answers. She just needed. She had that paper, and she felt like the description of the woman that gave her away fit her. That they could have been describing her. And so I guess they applied to the show, and they came and talked to her, and they were able to find the mom, which I thought was an interesting way they found her. First, the DNA test. They started matching up names from a tree, and then they found an obituary that fit the family. So I loved how they worked their way to do the research to find a family that looked like it would be her family. And then through phone calls, I can imagine getting that phone call. Hi, is this your name? Did you give up a baby? I can't even imagine. And then, do you want to be on TV and talk about it?
Right. Oh, by the way, we've recorded you. Can we use it?
Exactly. I can't even imagine how brave you'd have to be to do that. But they did find her, and she told them her story about how she was 18 and realized that a marriage with the father wouldn't work. And she felt like she already was a statistic, being a pregnant teenager, and she didn't want to be a divorce statistic and raise her child that way. So she chose to place her for adoption. But she did talk about that she went down to the nursery and she did feed her. She did hold her for a while. Very, very difficult. And she said she just knew that placing her for adoption was the right thing to do.
I think one of the great things about watching these stories is watching the whole emotional part unfold is always very good, and seeing these connections made. But it's like when you look at your genealogy and you're meeting these ancestors through their records, and you are seeing those connections. So for her, the non-identifying information, and she was like, it was like reading about myself. I can't tell you how many people records I've gone through in my ancestors where there's so many connections, like with jobs or silly stuff, and you're like, oh, that's kind of eerie.
It is, and we see this all the time on this show and other genealogy TV shows. We see those connections, and there's something genetic about it. There's something about there's both parts. There's the nurturing part, and a lot of it is genetic. Those things that you're interested in. So it's you watch this and you think, oh my, there is something to that. This is not just a coincidence. So
absolutely.
But their meeting was really good. I felt, she brought the baby book, and showed that to her and said, "This is my mom, and this is my dad."
With his funny mustache.
And his funny mustache. And and I think that her biological mom really appreciated that, because she'd missed out on all that, and to see, oh yeah, that's the baby that they took out of my arms, and then you went. Now I know where you went. So I thought that was
very
really
nice
good.
reunion. Yeah,
very nice reunion.
Yeah, I think it also gives like the parent that calm feeling about, okay, I've made the right decision. Not only are they before me, but now they've showed me that they did have that nice upbringing that you wanted for them.
Yeah, and Katie did thank her. She says, I just wanted to thank you for my life, because if you had not made that decision, I would not have had the wonderful family, the wonderful life that I had. And so for her to thank her, I think was just beautiful for her to thank her. So then we had the story of Tina, whose story was not all that wonderful as she was growing up. She was actually taken to her grandmother's house when she was 2. A note was put on her, and she was left at her grandmother's house because her mom says, "I just can't take care of her." So and then she was raised by her aunt and uncle. And it just sounded like things did not go well. She just did not have a very good upbringing. She didn't have a sense of family, even with those people around her. And so her desire was to find her biological father.
I think her whole story was heartbreaking, just listening to her when she said that she, as an adult, went and spoke with her mother about it and found peace, but also found out the reason that mom did let her go was because the new husband didn't think it would work with the child.
Exactly. Ouch.
Horrible.
Ouch. Yes. And so, I worried about her from the first part, and she's telling her story. I mean, you just want to go search for this man. You know nothing about him. It's different. For some reason, for me, it's different when it's a mom, because the mom gave birth.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a connection.
and
So to
it
me,
wasn't even this man. It was either this man or that man.
Mm-hmm.
Mom had given her 2 different names on
Yes.
it. Well, it might have been him. And so that was
that was really hard. And as they started searching, then they couldn't find anybody in the area under either name. Lots of phone calls. No, I didn't live there. I didn't know this person. Can you imagine those phone calls? But then through DNA, they were able to actually find a parent-child match. So there wasn't a lot of denying that one. And they were able to find her birth dad, and he was in Texas. And I guess
that was interesting that he had tested, but he didn't know that he had no idea that she existed.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't testing looking for her or looking for a child. He said he did it because his ex-wife asked him to, because she was doing genealogy. So he had no idea that he had a daughter. And so he was more than willing to meet her, and they met. And he wanted to be part of her life, so much so that he said that he was going to give up his plans that he had for retirement. Use those plans for vacationing and join her family.
That was too much for me. I mean, it's great you want to have a relationship, but let's build that relationship. Let's not just go, okay, call me daddy, and I'll summer in the Philippines and I'll winter here so that we can be a family. It was just too much.
Yeah. I wonder how that is going. I hope they do a follow-up on that.
I mean, I hope it goes well, but it's just a little eerie. And as a woman, as a mother, it's unnerving for me.
It was. I agree. I was a little, hoping that he'd been checked out thoroughly, and all was well, and they knew it would be well. But I was a little nervous about that myself.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Was anything else y'all want to say about Long Lost Family? Or shall we move on to relative race?
Moving on.
Moving on to relative race. Alrighty, y'all. Relative race was something else. It was something else, and I see why they had to do a two-parter. They could not have just left us at the end of day 9. They couldn't have done that. That was terrible. So we start day 9, and they are they're faced with their very first challenge, and their first challenge is this. What did they call it? I don't remember what they called it. But they had to put there were tubes, like inner tubes.
Oh, like the stacking thing for the kids.
Right. They had to put the striped ones with the striped ones and the solid ones with the solid ones. And the small ones couldn't be underneath the large ones, so they had to go up, in size. Whew. Now the black team did okay, but they were exhausted.
But they were smart.
Yeah.
Because I would never have thought to use the ones on the end. I would have thought, how am I going to get these into the middle to get them to the side? And I like puzzles. I'm a puzzle person. I'm not like the blue team. I love puzzles.
Speaking of blue team.
Listen, I love the blue team. But they go in and they give up as soon as they get there. And you saw that they got through it. They just had to sit and think. So don't plain think.
Yeah, they just get overwhelmed. And they're just so funny. You just want to smack them. But you saw that Michael was wearing his green hat for the green team. And I've heard that he's got quite the collection of hats. He's got like 54 hats. He brought one for every day of the race, but he's got quite the collection of hats. So he was wearing his green hat for support of the green team.
Fedora. He said,
"Yeah, it was a fedora." Exactly. It was a fedora. So So anyway, red team did okay with it. It was just blue team that really, really was struggling. They were having a hard time.
Well, and it was red team. I mean, they were lucky that they did, and that blue team struggled so much because red team had that horrible issue with LA traffic. I mean, as soon as they said Fountain Valley, I'm thinking, oh, how much LA traffic extension did they build into their allotted time?
That's what I was wondering. How much extra time did they give them? Because everybody knows, and those of us that don't live there, just heard about how horrible the traffic is. Did they give them an extra cushion? And if they did, was it just that it was even worse than normal? So
that would be something that would be interesting to ask Luana or Dan about how they calculate those times and what kind of metropolitan area factors do they put in.
Yes, exactly. That would be. So they finally, blue team they finally get through the first challenge, and then they go on to the second challenge, and black team's challenge was the wave rider. Now those things are hard because we've been to a water park with one of those before. Cheri, did you want to say something about that?
I've never done it, but oh my God, I thought they had to hurt. Their bodies were twisted, turned, and thrown at every chance they could get. Oh, I hurt watching them.
I know. I would have sprained a knee on that thing.
I had broken bones. Back, neck, leg, arm.
And I liked how Rebecca said, I figured out I could use my toes as a rudder.
That was brilliant.
Oh gosh, so it took them a while, but they were able to get through that. And then the red team had the adverb challenge. They had to act out. Oh my gosh, that was hysterical. I mean, they seemed to have kind of gotten over. They were a little tense in the car. There was a few tense moments as they were driving the wrong way up the freeway to get to where they needed to get. So there was some tension going on there, but once they got to that challenge and once they got through the first challenge and then got to the second challenge, it seemed to have calmed down and were working together. I think they did a good job on that. I think that would have been hard. trying to act all that out.
I think they did a good job. And once they learned, like, use the props, don't just mimic something, use the props, really try to work it. And he was really good at it. She struggled, but he was really good at acting out his pieces.
Yes, yes. I would love for them to put together a little binder of their games. Relative race games.
Oh, that would be funny.
That would be a lot of fun. I don't know who sits around and finds these games, but I'd like that job. Let's find some good games.
They need the Relative Race blog or on the website, the different games, so we can do them all.
They really, really should. I think the most hysterical challenge of the night was Blue Team trying to get those hockey pucks.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't just that. They couldn't get the uniform on.
Or off.
And then they had to run up the stairs.
Did you see how red he was in the car?
Did you see how sweaty they were? I mean, they were drenched.
And when I first saw what they had to do, I thought, oh, that's going to be so easy for them. Not so much.
He said if it was baseball, they'd have been okay.
I thought they liked baseball. That was really, really funny. So, when they got to the point where they had to meet Dan, I really didn't know. I figured that black team probably had done okay, but between red and blue, they both struggled so much.
You had no clue. Yeah.
I had no clue what was going on. So, we didn't talk about their relatives. They all met cousins. The black team, Jonathan met Trujillo cousin, and she had her kids there, and she had all this stuff, pictures and books they put together on her father. So he was a cousin on her father's, must be maybe maternal line, because it was a Trujillo. So, and it was interesting because Jonathan said, all these people that I've met, I've been coming to, find them. This is the first time they've been looking for me.
Yeah,
they had not met anybody on that line before. So
that one thing her dad wanted was to find somebody on that line.
And he had just passed away.
Yeah, like a month ago?
Yeah, like April 5th or something like that. So almost. I'm
assuming it was this April, not last April. But
it probably, it had to have been because they were filming the show. So it's probably been a year ago. Yeah. So
it was interesting, to think that they did not get eliminated, so they were able to meet them. Think of how disappointed that family would have been.
Yeah. Well, they would have met, just not on camera.
Right.
Yes. And then red teams. I loved red team's relative. She comes out and he goes, "Can we take a selfie?" And she's like, "Yeah, we know the drill. Get over here, let's do it." So we take a selfie. Then she says to him, "I know you're whooped, but who cares? We're gonna go bowling." And I'm like, "What?" That was great. So they go to the bowling alley, and all of her kids are there. So he's had a lot of these where tons and tons of other people have been there, and not just the relative he was meeting. So that was really neat. And then Blue, go ahead.
It looks like the family is together, came together, bonded, and had a really good time. You could just see all the high fives going about, making the strikes and
yeah. And that must have just felt so good and relaxing, and after another hard day of running the race. So, and then Blue Team met. It was a cousin through his grandfather's line. So another cousin for Michael and Dylan. So then we get to day 9 results. And everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat. And wouldn't you know, black team comes in first place again.
I was not shocked.
I was not shocked either, because they really didn't have the hard time that the blue team and the red team had. And then they chose the day 10 bonus. The other option was to have
airplane tickets to any of the relatives they wanted to see again.
Right.
And they said, we're going to win the $50,000 and we're going to buy our own plane tickets.
Yeah. Exactly. So then we know that it's between the blue team and the red team. And Dan says, we've never had this happen. This is the closest we've ever had. And he says, red team, you were an hour and 8 minutes over your allotted time. And they're like, oh. And then he says to blue team, you were an hour and 8 minutes over your allotted time. What? How do you tie? How is that even possible for them to have a tie? I don't even get it. You could tell that everybody was shocked, and in the beginning they were like, does that mean both of us go home? And then the black team just gets it, forfeited, But nobody got a strike. So it was a lot of hurrah.
It was definitely a good end to day 9.
It was. And I'm hearing through different channels that when the different producers and people heard about that, they were like, what? And they all were calling and emailing going, is that tie right? Is this what I'm hearing true? It's a tie? They were all shocked as well. They were absolutely shocked.
The one thing that struck me, and it's not even the tie, it was really how close they all came together, because black team was only 20 minutes ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really struggle with anything, not with the traffic, not with the...
They struggled with the wave rider.
Okay, the wave rider. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was just like, 20 minutes. I mean, that traffic that the red team went through, and blue team sitting there going, well, we can't do this. We don't know how to do this. We just don't do puzzles, I was really shocked by that 20-minute.
Okay, so can I talk about the inner tube challenge one though?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm sitting there watching it. I'm thinking, okay, I'd pull out a stack of coins and figure out how to do this without all the running around. I think you can figure out how to move those pieces and then just do it. So,
well, for next time, I hope they watch this. Yeah. That's a good. But I think when you're in the heat of the moment, sometimes your brain doesn't work the way you think it's. I'm sure they're gonna, as I watch back, going, why didn't we do this? Why? Why didn't we? I'm sure any of us would. It's got to be so hard, You're under that stress of running. The cameras are there, and it's got to be so difficult. It's got to be so difficult. So we have day 10, and we've got all 3 teams on day 10, and they flew them all back to DC. So we're back to where we started. And somebody had said, gosh, if I'd have known that we were going to come back to where we started, we would have paid better attention to where we were. Mary, do you want to talk to us about what they did for day 10, what they had them do?
So they had a map of DC, and they had 3 challenges, and one at the Jefferson Memorial, one at a speaker's podium, and then one somewhere. It wasn't really clear.
It was all at the mall. It was all at the mall.
All at the mall.
Yeah.
And then so they could complete those, and then they also had other little challenges, which were more specifically geared to their ancestors, where they could, if they could solve a riddle about their ancestor, they would get taken to a place. I mean, they would get a clue to go to a place, and there'd be a coin waiting for them. And whoever got the most coins would win.
Yeah, so all those times everybody was coming in first place, and they were asking them, do you want the day 10 benefit? And it was a coin.
And one team wound up with 2 teams, each had 1 coin, and 1 team had 4 coins, and that 3 could very well have made the difference.
Exactly. Well, I loved the way they did this. I loved the book. They gave them that book at the beginning, and the book had the 3 different challenges they had to go to, and those were mandatory. They had to at least go and try and get the coins from those. And there was 33 riddles they could play with and see if they could get coins from that. So they had these opportunities. So they had to decide from the beginning, do we want to do the challenges first? Do we want to try to do the riddles first? And most of them tried to do some riddles, but they were trying to get to those mandatory things, because with the mandatory, there was 3 different levels of challenges, and it was first come, first serve. So if you got there and nothing was left but the hard one, you had to do the hard one. So you got coins based on how hard it was, and if you got it right. My interesting thing was when they were doing the declaration and they couldn't read the writing. They couldn't read the handwriting on the declaration.
Now imagine all those kids that aren't learning cursive.
Exactly.
They would all not get through this unless they have it memorized.
And then Troy didn't understand it was the title. So they kept saying, this is not in it. This is not in it. It was so funny. And then Michael couldn't get taxes. Was it Michael couldn't read the word taxes? And I was shouting at the television, So I thought that was really interesting. I think the hardest one they did was a speech.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with Jonathan. He got right up there. He looked at it once, and he did it. So that saved his team. Rebecca had a little bit harder time with it, but she was able to finish. But the problem with everybody else was that as they were trying to learn, the other teams were trying to learn and say, I can't even imagine having to do that.
Hearing it, yeah. You're trying to say your thing and hearing somebody else mumble theirs in the background and hearing someone else recite theirs. So.
I don't blame them. They ended up just giving up. I don't blame them because they were wasting a lot of time. At least they tried. And I mean, it was to the point where I think it was impossible at that point for them to do it. And so then they just started running and collecting coins, as many places as they could find coins. And I love the part where they had the camera on Dan, and they said to Dan, Team Black is going back for another coin. And he goes, well, I hope they make it on time. I love that. I thought that was so funny.
Because they would have lost 1 coin for each minute they were late. And so there was a penalty if you did go overtime.
Cheri, what was your favorite thing they did on this day 10 challenge?
I really liked all the different riddles and the clues and being able to go. And there was like the one about the Boy Scouts, the Boy Scout, what's the motto, be prepared. And they were like, oh, it's the Boy Scouts, well, what's the Boy Scouts got to do? Find it, I just thought that this was the coolest event out of everything they've done in all of the shows. I mean, it was history related. Some of the clues, tied into their relatives. I just found it really cool. I thought, man, this would be the best thing for a society to do during a conference. Not for everybody, obviously, it would be way too much, but to have a couple teams and see what you could do. I agree.
Another interesting thing is my nephew got married in Washington, D.C. last March. And it would have been fun if we could have, the wedding guests could have done the same kind of thing. So if you were planning an event in an area, a wedding or something, it'd be really fun. Or your own family reunion to have them walk the town and find these things. There'd be a lot of ways you could use this idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's just the logistics of setting it up. With a TV show, you've got the production company to go in, not only just set it up, but get the okay, can we do this, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm thinking like all these group things I'm doing with the genealogy conference cruises and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this would be so cool, like in Ireland to do this in Dublin or whatever. But I don't have the fundage to have somebody go in and do all this for me before we get there. So I think that's a lot of it.
It's a great idea if it could get worked out. I think it's a wonderful idea. So the teams have run around the mall. They're sweaty. They're collecting coins. They know they've got to be back. They only have 3 hours. So they're starting to go back. They're starting to kind of, okay, how many coins can I get without being late? Can I read these clues? And they're running and they're running. And some of them, they're just grabbing coins. But then we have an injury. We have Rebecca who twisted her ankle really badly. And I thought, oh no, they've been doing so well. They're going to be overtime. And so he's trying to help her. Can you run? No, I can't run. I can walk fast. No, I can't even walk fast. Do you want me to carry you? No, that's not going to help. But I think she was a trooper. She was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, yes, carry me.
They had to, I can't even imagine how exhausted they had to have been at this point, all of them. So blue team gets there first. And I thought they were going to just fall over and die when we got there. I didn't think. But nobody's yelling, I have a cramp, I have a cramp. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that. But they didn't look so good coming over. I was wondering if they were going to have to get medical for them because they're like, Dylan was like, everything hurts. Oh, speaking of Dylan, I thought it was hysterical when he was trying to do his speech. He was doing George Washington. He was doing a British accent. Like, I don't know if that was helping him try to remember the words.
But kudos to him for trying to,
exactly
have a little fun with it.
I know. It was so funny. Anyway, so they get in first, and then red team comes running up, and then way in the back in the distance, you see black team limping, limping out. Oh no! After all this time, but so then Dan has them pull out their coin bags.
Oh, did he drag that out?
Oh gosh, didn't he drag that out? And he's taking them, and they're going thunk on the table. And you can just hear, there's a lot of coins in these bags. And so behind the table where they couldn't see what he was doing, he starts counting them. And then he has to let one team know that they're the next to be out. And it was the blue team. So, I felt sad for them that they didn't earn the money, but they had been able to meet all their relatives. They had had a great journey during the week. And so, in my opinion, they've all really won. I know that sounds lame because everybody wants the $50,000. I would want the $50,000. But, look at what he gained. Look at what they gained.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mother, father, sister, brother, cousins, 6 cousins.
All within 10 days, So the money would be nice, but they came away with something a little bit even more precious than money,
Mm-hmm.
So then, instead of just saying, and then you've got this much and you've got this much, they bring out the scale.
Right.
He's putting a few on this side, and he's putting a few on this side, and a few on this number.
It's going up and down, and
And then finally, it's the black team. And the black team has more than the red team. And so the black team wins the season's relative race and the $50,000
coins
by 3 coins. Yeah.
Jeez, how many they were ahead by when they started day 10?
It was their wins. It was their wins and choosing, though. It was not just the wins. It was choosing the day 10 benefit, because wouldn't that have been terrible if they didn't choose the day 10 benefit and chose the other every time?
Because then they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But one time they did choose the game benefit. Yeah.
And that helped them win the next time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it all worked out for them. So that means next season they're going to have to be tricky, and they're going to have to change it up, because then they're going to know.
Right. What day 10 benefit it is.
Yeah. So it's going to have to be totally different.
Well, at least it wasn't like the fuzzy dice that really weren't a benefit.
They
looked cool in the car.
I was really, really worried about that. And I was going to be sending some tweets. What do you think you're doing? Don't do the fuzzy dice again, But, yeah. So, what a season.
It was I loved season 2, but this, as touching as Joe's story was, we had 3 touching stories this year.
Exactly. And hey, if you go back through the shows very slowly, you can see Joe a few times.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I didn't notice that.
In the background, because he's doing the
photography.
Uh-huh. So there's a couple of times you go, oh, there's Joe.
I've seen him in the commercials when they were giving the replay of all the seasons. I'm like, oh, Joe.
Yeah, we miss
you. So that's interesting. I did not notice that, but I was not really paying attention.
Yeah, somebody brought it to my attention, so I started looking.
The girls, weren't the girls when they were doing something, they were like, sorry, Joe.
They were saying sorry to somebody, but I don't know if it was Joe. I don't remember who they, but yeah, they were throwing. I think it's when they were throwing the football. I think they kept hitting them. Yeah. So, but yeah, what a season, and I hope they can top it again with the next.
Yeah, it's gonna be
next season. It's gonna be hard.
Well, we said that last year.
Yeah. We thought who could top Joe's story? Nobody could top Joe's story.
And we had 3.
We had 3, and even Team Green. I loved those girls. So much fun, and to watch them meet so many relatives that were musical was amazing. It was amazing. So,
I think that one of the good things about it is even though they were jiving each other with their text messaging, they thoroughly each cared how the other one did. Yes. You know, even Rebecca, she was so happy to be winning and winning and winning, but you know, she cried, she, you know, for everything like the blue team went through, or when red team got his dad's ashes, and it just made a different, a whole different show.
A whole different
experience.
And I can't imagine that these teams are not going to stay in touch.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I mean, they might not be best friends, but I have a feeling they're going to stay in touch because they experienced something so unique. You know, and they bonded in a way that the other seasons haven't. So I really think that they are going to stay. I hope they do a reunion show and talk to us about how they stayed in touch.
That would be awesome.
You know,
I would love to know how John and
Troy
are related.
Yes.
I mean, why, you know, we needed that.
Yeah, we needed that information. I still would have loved it if they'd end up in the same place.
That would have been really cool.
But maybe I can't imagine they didn't at least think on that, you know, when they discovered that they were related, but maybe it just didn't work. Maybe the person, maybe they couldn't find somebody to say, yeah, they could come to my house.
Or it's possible that they're just a DNA connection and they haven't fleshed it out yet.
That's true. That's true. Well, you know, in season 2, they had a family come back from season 1. So blue team,
the ones who made them camp.
Exactly. So that would be kind of cool if they did something. I don't know which family I'd want to see come back, but that'd be kind of cool if they had somebody come back. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that they're ramping up. I don't know if they started filming for the next season. Has anybody heard?
Well, they're still looking for participants, I think.
Are they, or is that for? Yeah.
I don't think it said. It just said for a next season or something. I'm not sure.
Wow.
I do have to add though on this season for Team Black. I think kind of at the end, age kind of had something to do with it too. Because Team Black they were young. They were blue team. He had the son. But there was no physical fitness in their world. And like he said, if we had a challenge of laying on the couch and watching TV, I could win.
Exactly. I love that.
I was like, I love it, dude, because I could win that too.
Oh, me too. We should still have that challenge. We're going to come up with our own challenge for Gen Friends.
Name this tune, silly stuff like that, sing the Friends theme song.
Yeah, whatever. Exactly. Red team was pretty good at doing the athletic type challenges.
They were in better shape than blue team.
Oh, yes.
But black team had the age and being fit. I mean, they were both skinny. I wouldn't say they were muscular, but they were in good shape. So
I guess the lesson learned is if you want to be on the show, you need to start working out.
Right. Get it together.
Get it together. I say the same thing about like Survivor. What are you talking about? You knew you were going to have to climb a coconut tree. Why didn't you train ahead of time?
Coconut tree, please. I couldn't climb a rope in gym class.
So just saying, prepare for the show you're going to be on. Give yourself a better chance. Oh, does anybody have any last minute things they would like to say as we end this season's relative race. I'm gonna miss it till it comes back on again.
Can't wait till next year.
Can't wait. Can't wait. And I just don't know, like you said, we said this last year, but I just don't know how they can top it. It was a fabulous season. Fabulous season. Great stories, great people, great challenges. It was wonderful all around. Great host. Dan does a great job of hosting.
He really does.
He really does.
I think the whole production team in general. First year was kind of quirky, but each year it's getting better, and I'm sitting on my seat with them, like, ooh.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So I keep thinking about Green Team when we were at Roots Tech, and Jamie does a great impression of Dan. And she said she'd be driving in the car and she'd say, "And there's the Green Team. Make a wrong turn on relative race." So I guess we could end tonight with saying, well, that's the end of relative race for this season. But it's not the end of Gen Friends. We will be back, and we will be talking genealogy TV and other things going on in genealogy. So next time, I'd like to thank Mary and Terry for being with us tonight. And I'd like to thank you for watching. And we'd love to hear your thoughts about the show and any comments that you would like to make. And we will see you next time on Gen Friends. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.